Welcome to a brand new episode of Law and Batting Order. I'm your host, Tony Leocastas. Here are some quick hits from the past week. The NBA draft is over, and boy, where do I even start? We all know that Anthony Davis was the uncontested first pick in this draft by the New Orleans Hornets. But after that, the picks were pretty much unexpected, as there was some speculation that some players would land in different teams. The most notable picks in this year's draft were Michael Kidd-Gilchrist going second to the Bobcats, Kansas Jayhawks star Thomas Robinson heading to Sacramento, Damian Lillard going to Portland, Royce White heading to the Rockets, and Austin Rivers joining Anthony Davis as potentially New Orleans' new starting point guard. If any of you are soccer fans, then you know that the UEFA Euro tournament has been in progress for the past few weeks. And alas, the Euro 2012 final match is here. Spain will be facing Italy in an attempt to win the championship. Mario Balotelli helped Italy beat Germany in the semifinals, while Spain defeated its Iberian Peninsula rival Portugal in an overtime shootout. So, will Balotelli help the Italians reach glory, or will Cesc Fabregas propel Spain to a win? Both teams are very elite soccer squads, so Sunday should prove to be a great game, and I think Spain will beat Italy 3-2. More disturbing news are coming out of Penn State regarding the Jerry Sandusky scandal. On Friday, it was reported that several Penn State officials, namely former athletic director Tim Curley, former Penn State Vice President Gary Schultz, and former Penn State President Graham Spanier, exchanged emails in 2001 after they had full knowledge of Jerry Sandusky's inappropriate behavior with the young boys he dealt with in his charity organization, Second Mile. According to the emails, Curley, Schultz, and Spanier all agreed to not contact authorities and talked with the late Joe Paterno regarding disciplinary action for Sandusky. This opens up a new gaping hole in this scandal, 1 week after Sandusky was convicted of 45 out of 48 counts of sexual assault. Today's Order in the Court will be discussing the offenses of perjury, making false statements, and obstructing Congress in relation to the recently concluded Roger Clemens trial. As I mentioned in last week's Quick Hits, former pitcher and Major League Baseball All-Star Roger Clemens was acquitted in federal court of all perjury charges against him. The crux of the lawsuit relates back to 2008 when he testified under oath in front of a congressional committee that he never used performance-enhancing drugs during his baseball career. Of course, this committee seems speculative, so the federal government indicted Roger Clemens and charged him with obstructing Congress, making false statements, and for committing perjury. This indictment is available to the public, and you can read the indictment in full by clicking the link below this video. While Roger Clemens was acquitted of all of these charges, I thought it would be worthwhile discussing the offenses that Clemens was acquitted of. Thus, today's episode will discuss the following issue. What are the offenses of perjury, making false statements, and obstructing Congress, and how do they relate to the Clemens trial? First, let's discuss the law of each offense. According to the indictment, the federal government charged Clemens with obstructing Congress in violation of Title 18 of the United States Code, Sections 1505 and 1515b. Section 1505 states the following: whoever with intent to avoid, evade, prevent, or obstruct compliance, in whole or in part, with any civil investigative demand duly and properly made under the Antitrust Civil Process Act, willfully withholds, misrepresents, removes from any place, conceals, covers up, destroys, mutilates, alters, or by other means falsifies any documentary material, answers to written interrogatories or oral testimony which is the subject of such demand, or attempts to do so, or solicits another to do so, or whoever corruptly or by threats or force, or by any threatening letter or communication influences, obstructs, or impedes, or endeavors to influence, obstruct, or impede the due and proper administration of the law under which any pending proceeding is being had before any department or agency of the United States, or the due and proper exercise of the power of inquiry under which any inquiry or investigation is being had by either House or any committee of either House or any joint committee of the Congress, shall be fined under this title, imprisoned not more than 5 years, or if the offense involves international or domestic terrorism, imprisoned not more than 8 years, or both. Section 1515b states the following: as used in Section 1505, the term corruptly means acting with any improper purpose, personally or by influencing another, including making a false or misleading statement, or withholding, concealing, altering, or destroying a document or other information. Meanwhile, Clemens was also charged for making false statements regarding his use of steroids and HGH during his baseball tenure. The indictment states that Clemens is in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1001 A2 and C2, stating the following: except as otherwise provided in this section, whoever in any matter within the jurisdiction of the executive, legislative, or judicial branch of the government of the United States knowingly and willfully makes any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or representation shall be fined under this title, imprisoned not more than 5 years, or if the offense involves international or domestic terrorism, imprisoned not more than 8 years, or both. With respect to any matter within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch, subsection A shall apply only to any investigation or review conducted pursuant to the authority of any committee, subcommittee, commission, or office of the Congress, consistent with the applicable rules of the House or Senate. Finally, Clemens in this indictment was charged with perjury. Perjury is listed as an offense in 18 U.S.C. section 1621(1). It states the following: whoever having taken an oath before a competent tribunal, officer, or person, in any case in which a law of the United States authorizes an oath to be administered, that he will testify, declare, depose, or certify truly, or that any written testimony, declaration, deposition, or certificate by him subscribed is true, willfully and contrary to such oath, states or subscribes any material matter which he does not believe to be true, is guilty of perjury, and shall, except as otherwise expressly provided by law, be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years, or both. This section is applicable whether the statement or subscription is made within or without the United States. So if we wanted to discuss all of these rules in layman's English, the burden is on the prosecution to prove several things. They had to prove that Clemens obstructed information from the Congressional Committee regarding his use of performance-enhancing drugs during his baseball career, that Clemens knowingly and willfully made false statements regarding his use of performance-enhancing drugs, and that he lied under oath about such claims despite testifying on Capitol Hill that he never used steroids or other drugs. To prove all of these charges accurately, the prosecution must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Clemens is guilty of these offenses. To prove beyond a reasonable doubt means that the prosecution must show that there could be no reasonable doubt in the eyes of a reasonable person that a defendant is guilty of the offense committed. To do this, in this specific case, the prosecution had to rely on the testimony of Clemens' former trainer Brian McNamee and Yankees pitcher Andy Pettitte, who both claimed that Roger Clemens indeed used steroids and HGH during his time as a pitcher. The prosecution also likely used the Mitchell report as evidence, along with any medical documents that could have potentially proved a link between Clemens and steroid use. In other words, witness testimony, expert testimony, and any and all relevant material evidence had to be used by the prosecution in an effort to accurately prove that Clemens obstructed Congress, made false statements, and committed perjury. However, as we know, the prosecution failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Clemens lied under oath and made false statements in front of Congress, as the jury acquitted Clemens of all charges against him. The prosecution was unable to establish that Clemens made false statements about his use of banned substances while he was in a baseball uniform. They also failed to prove the essential prima facie elements of perjury, which is that Clemens willfully lied under oath in front of the Congressional Committee in 2008, despite claiming to be telling the whole truth. And this is how the laws of perjury, making false statements, and obstructing justice apply in the Roger Clemens trial. That's the show. Leave all your comments down below, and be sure to visit Law and Batting Order at lawandbattingorder.com, as well as on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, have a great week, guys.